Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrestling Experience. My name is Earl Cole, and tonight, from a frosty New York City, we welcome you to the Wrestling Experience. It's the weather outside is delightful. Well, no, it's not. It's frightful, and the fire is just so delightful. So sit back and enjoy some wrestling experience. And of course, tonight we're going to discuss Tony Schiavone. We're going to discuss all kinds of wrestling news that is going on. And yeah, so that's all tonight here on the Wrestling Experience. So sit back and enjoy the ride because you landed on that mothership. You landed on that mothership once again, and welcome to Planet Experience. Welcome to the Wrestling Experience. All right. Welcome back to the Wrestling Experience. And of course, tonight we're going to discuss Tony Schiavone. We're going to discuss all the wrestling news, but let's just get to it. Let's just get to it. All right. So let's discuss this. Let me just get my notes. Hold on one second. All right. New Japan. New Japan's commentary. New Japan's commentator, Chris Charlton, has been indefinitely put on hiatus by the promotion due to his negative comments about AEW while calling Sunday's Wrestle Dynasty show. According to Dave Meltzer, during Kenny Omega's match, during Kenny Omega's match, Charlton called AEW owner Tony Khan a money mark and questioned Okada, Jay White, and Will Ospreay's decision to join AEW on how they've been booked since, and said that the Continental Classic is not even close to the G1. So he said that he said that about AEW. Now I don't know if Tony Khan is a money mark. I don't know about that. I don't know if that term fits him. Um, I I kind of like. I don't know if that fits him or not. I'm kind of like waffling back and forth if that's the term that he used, and does it fit? Inquiring minds want to know. So everybody in AEW everybody that knows AEW, and you all have labels for Tony Khan. Now, there's a lot of things about Tony Khan that I don't disagree with, but I don't know if I would ever use the term he's a money mark. And if you all don't know what a money mark is, I Googled it myself. It's a term used for somebody who invests in a promotion because they want to be associated with wrestlers. So that's the term. That's what that means. That's what a money mark is. Does it fit Tony Khan? I don't know. Damn, baby, the sports. How's it going? Gregor John, what's up? Hi, Gregor John. How you doing? Everybody in the chat, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. It's so important. Thank you so much. So, does the does the term does the term money mark fit Tony Khan? Does it fit Tony Khan? That's a great question. What do you all think in the chat? What do you all think? Does the term money mark fit Tony Khan? Well, while you all contemplate on that, while you contemplate on that, there was some speculation about last night's disappearance of AEW commentator Tony Schiavone. As you know, Tony Schiavone was not there tonight, and Excalibur says that he was out on assignment. He was out on an assignment. Tony Khan grew up a wrestling fan, so I don't know. Yeah, you know something, Gregor John? I don't think that term fits Tony Khan. I don't think that because Tony Khan has always boasted about how he was a wrestling fan. So if somebody boasts about being a wrestling fan, then how could they be called a money mark? I didn't even think about that until Gregor John brought that up, and that was a great comment by you, Gregor. Um, I don't think Tony Khan's a money mark because he does profess that he is a wrestling fan. So I don't think that term fits him well, and I'm glad Gregor John brought that out. All right. So last night, Excalibur says that Tony Schiavone was out on assignment, on an assignment. Okay. So AEW commentator Tony Schiavone missed Dynamite, and he said he was on assignment. Okay, so he said he was on assignment. But some folks speculated that he might have been suspended for tweeting and deleting the following insult about AEW, about New Japan's commentator Chris Charlton. He says, and I quote, this is Tony Schiavone. This is not me saying that. This is Tony Schiavone's quote on Twitter, on X. He says, and I quote, "Hey, Chris, speaking from all of us in AEW, GFY, I'm not sure what GFY means, but GFY, and speaking for all of us who have been around you, take a shower once in a while." Oh my God, Tony Schiavone. Oh my gosh. So Tony Schiavone says that. That was Tony's response to the negative comments Jonathan made about AEW, which is calling Tony Khan a money mark during the Wrestle Dynasty broadcast, which led him to put him on definite hiatus. According to the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer, Schiavone was not suspended by AEW for telling that smelly Carlton to go blank himself. Instead, Schiavone missed Dynamite due to family matter. It's nothing big or anything like that. When he wasn't there, I started getting all of these people like, "Oh my God, did he get suspended for that post?" But it was just a family situation. He's fine. He'll be back, I presume, on Saturday. It's nothing to be alarmed over. It's just a family thing. He missed the show. So that's the whole thing. I thought money bar meant hire wrestlers to hire. No, that's not what it means, Gregor John. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. I'm going to read you the definition again. That's not what it means, Gregor John. It means it's a term used for somebody who invests in promotions because they want to be associated with wrestlers. So that's what a money mark is. That is what a money mark is. And that doesn't, and as you pointed out, Gregor John, that does not fit Tony Khan. That doesn't fit Tony Khan at all. Because Tony Khan professes that he is a wrestling fan. So for somebody who professes that they're a wrestling fan, they can't be a money mark. So his comments about Tony Khan was off base, was far fetched. It doesn't fit. And if it don't fit, you must have quit, OJ. So I I don't know. I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. because I don't think I don't think Tony Khan is a money mark because, like Gregor John said, Ballet Dancer, how's it going? Hit that like button, everyone. Ballet Dancer, how you doing? And subscribe today. I greatly appreciate it. And I don't think that fits Tony Khan at all. A money mark. I don't think he's a money mark at all. He professes to be a wrestling fan, and this guy was just off base. So that was the story with Matt, with Tony Schiavone, and the whole thing. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's talk about these. I'm doing well. Earl, please hit the yes, Ballet Dancer, yes. Please hit the like button. Yes, thank you very much, Ballet. Thank you. Well, he was able to do this from his father. It's worth 12 billion. Yes, Gregor John. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He was able to do this from his father, and it is worth 12 billion. Yes, absolutely. And Gregor and Ballet says I'm doing well. That's great, Ballet. I'm glad that you're doing well. I hope you're staying warm, everybody, in this frigid weather. Um, okay. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. Hulk Hogan. Let's talk about Hulk Hogan for a second. All right. Let's talk about Mr. Hulk Hogan. After a rough reception Hogan got in Los Angeles at the Raw's Netflix premiere, WrestleVote said on the Backstage Pass Q&A that going forward, WWE will use Hogan for things like pre-tape commercials and documentary interviews. But as far as live appearance, you may not see him as often. So if you all didn't see the Netflix debut, when Raw went on Netflix, which was highly successful, by the way, congratulations to WWE on their success on Netflix. I mean, it was absolutely breathtaking to see WWE. What an opening that they had this past Monday night on Raw. It was absolutely flawless. I enjoyed Raw debut on Netflix. I thought it was a great show. There were two matches that I didn't care for. Hogan got booed heavily. Yes, he did, Greg John. I'm not talking about that. So the Netflix debut was great. What wasn't so great was Hogan. So Hulk Hogan comes out and his music played, and he comes out to the audience. 4.9 million viewers on Netflix. Absolutely, Gregor John. Thank you so much for that news. Absolutely. That is what the WWE wanted, and that's what they got. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, this was absolutely a great debut. This was an absolute home run for the WWE and Netflix and all of their subscribers. And I had fun doing Monday Night Raw. I hope you all did too. I enjoyed it. I hope everyone who watched it on Netflix, I hope you enjoyed it. The show was great. There was only two blips on the radar that I just didn't get. Well, actually, there were three, and one of them I'm talking about right now. Hogan comes out on the arena floor. His music played, and he was booed out of the building. People were just soured on Hogan. Hogan came out and talked about his beer. He talked about himself. He talked about Netflix. He talked about everything. He went out there to the live crowd to jack them up for the main event, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. The crowd booed the snot out of Hogan. They could not wait for Hogan to get off that stage and through that curtain and get the heck out of here. He was not welcomed. He wasn't welcomed at all. It was just like they wanted to avoid him like the plague. And Hogan is very controversial. He has been in. Why do you think Hogan got booed? Well, Greg or John, that's a great question. And here's the thing: Hogan is a controversial figure. He has said some nefarious things about racism and everything else, and he's very controversial in his views and his thoughts and his comments. So people just listen to what Hogan they read on Hogan and they read what he's done in the past, and people just hang on to that, and they don't people never forget the past. They just can't seem to erase what was being said. And to be quite honest with you, Hogan, some of the things Hogan has said and done in the past, I don't think anybody should forget it. I really don't think anybody should forget it. And go back and look. Go back and do your research. Go back and look at Hogan and what he's done in the past and what he said in the past. And the people don't forget those things, and they roast him for it. So when he came out with Jimmy Hart, I thought he was going to get a warm. He did not get a California reception at all. They were like, they said, please get this guy off the stage. Um, for his part, Fightful heard Hogan was surprised and disappointed he got booed, but he brushed it off. Hogan is very into political too. Yeah, that's another thing too. I believe it was because he was attached to Donald Trump. I believe he was attached to Trump, and if that's the case, and because of his political views, um, listen, I don't talk politics here. This is strictly wrestling. So please don't ask me about anything about politics here. We're talking strictly wrestling. This is not about politics. Um, but his political views and his language and everything else, they're just not feeling him. They're not feeling him. So I think WWE should pull him away from live events. I don't think they should bring Hogan back for live events. If he wants to do some voiceovers with WWE, Hogan is, yeah, I believe Hogan should just do voiceovers for WWE and that's it. I think he should just do voiceovers, just as my opinion and my opinion only. I just think that that's what he should do. Not come on the live events. Not come on the live events. Don't come out on stage. Don't greet the audience, and just let sleepy dogs lie, as they would say. Just leave it alone. Don't poke the bear. Don't say something off color. Don't say anything controversial. Just do the voiceovers. Do what the WWE asks you to do, and that's it. But don't. I don't think live events should be done with Hogan in the foreseeable future, in my opinion. But that's WWE. I'm not sure what they think about that. All right. So that's the thing with Hogan. Here's an update on Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, Jade Cargill was spotted at the WWE Performance Center, and she is getting ready for her Wrestle. They're saying now that she'll be back in time for WrestleMania, and she will have a match. Why did The Rock be the why? Wait, Greg and John, what was your question? Why did The Rock be nice to Cody now after what The Rock did to? Well, Greg or John, you have to understand something. There's a mutual respect for Cody Rhodes and The Rock. They had that rival history at WrestleMania 40, and it was built up to a crescendo. And sooner or later, these two men will butt heads again, and this time they'll be in the ring, and this time it will be for the championship. But on this particular night, this was not about their rivalry. This was about the Netflix debut. That is what the WWE is focused on. And that's why they brought all these dignitaries out and all these superstars and everything. It was all about WWE and putting on a good show for the Netflix executives and of course the investors who are there and TKO and everything else. So that is what they're focused on, and this is why The Rock respected Cody and he joked with Cody about Mama Rose and everything like that. It is just that's exactly what it was. The Rock was simply there to hype up the Netflix debut and the audience, and that's all he was there for. He wasn't there to challenge Cody or anything like that. I am quite sure down the road in the future, when The Rock is available, they will start poking that and they will start filtering that in very soon with The Rock and Cody, because whatever The Rock whispered to Cody after the night of WrestleMania, I'm not sure what he whispered to him, but that is something that you need to keep in your back of your memory bank in your file cabinet. But like I said, The Rock was simply there just to hype up the Netflix and to make sure that the WWE shined like a diamond. No offense, Rihanna, and and to put the WWE in the forefront. That's what he was there for. That's what he was there for. All right. So getting back to Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is was spotted at the Performance Center. So the rumor, the news is that they're building her up to get ready for. They want to keep her out until WrestleMania time, so that she can sell these multiple injuries that she suffered at the last SmackDown taping, at the last SmackDown show, and then what they'll do is they are what the WWE is doing right now is that they're working on two angles. They have two angles right now that they are writing for the attacker. Now, what that means is that Cargill has to sign off on one of those scenarios, one of those attack scenarios. So they'll sit down with the attacker, they'll sit down with Cargill, they'll work out the angle, and then on the road to WrestleMania, on one of those shows, whether it's Raw or, well, actually, it would be SmackDown, excuse me, on the road to WrestleMania on SmackDown, they will start piecing together little clues as to who the attacker was until it comes up to that building crescendo stage, and then the attacker will be revealed. And then when the attacker is being revealed, that is when they will pull the trigger on Cargill and bring her back. And they're going to be in a shock mode and say, oh my gosh, Jay Cargill is back. She's going to confront the attacker. And then Cargill will do a drive in or run in with the attacker. And then they'll build it up that way. And then she will challenge that attacker at WrestleMania. So that is what the WWE is doing right now. They're putting the little packages together, little scenarios. They have two scenarios in the fire for Cargill. So as soon as they work out the two scenarios and they go with either one of them, and she signs off on one of them, then that's when they're gonna start putting everything together, and then that's when they're gonna display it to you. So that's it. Cargill is not injured. It was all a work. It was all a work. She's on vacation and she's doing projects right now. But she was spotted at the Performance Center getting ready to come back in WrestleMania season and challenging the attacker. Okay. All right. So JoJo Offerman appearance for AEW last weekend may be a one-off. According to Fightful Select, sources within the company expect the former WWE Diva interviewer and ring announcer to do more with AEW, although it's not clear in what specific role. Okay, so if you all didn't hear, during the taping of AEW last week, AEW did a very sweet gesture and they brought out Bray Wyatt's Earl. I think Cena versus Rhodes at WrestleMania. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, Greg or John. I think that's exactly the road. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, Greg or John, but we have to wait and see. But I'm not sure when The Rock and Rhodes will happen, but what I'm saying is that in the future, in the near future, we could see Rhodes and The Rock at some point. When? I don't know. It's all up to The Rock. It's all up to his schedule. It's all up to what he's doing and what's going on. As far as Cena and Rhodes is concerned, I don't know if we're going to see that either. But we could. We could see that. That could be Cena's performance at WrestleMania. We could see Cena win. Listen, Cena could win the Royal Rumble. Okay, let's say if Cena wins the Rumble. Okay, he's the number one contender. Now he could go after either champion. It could be either Gunther or he can go after Rhodes. If he goes after Rhodes, then Cena will be in the ring with Rhodes for the championship. That is something we could see happen. I could see that happening, and I wouldn't have an issue with it whatsoever. If he wins the Rumble and he becomes the number one contender, then that means he will challenge either Gunther or Rhodes. And if he picks Rhodes, I don't have a problem with that. And that will be his final WrestleMania match in the Las Vegas market. So either one, either one. Earl, Gunther is good, Earl. Yes, Gunther is good, Greg or John. I could see John Cena taking on Gunther at WrestleMania for the first time ever. That would be interesting. And I don't think he ever wrestled Rhodes, so that would be a first too. So it would be Cena versus either Gunther or it could be that. Either one. Either one would work. Either one would work. So we could see that happening. I could see that happening. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's go back to JoJo Offman. I heard Goldberg has one match left. Yeah, Gregor John. Yeah, that could happen at WrestleMania too. So let's get back to JoJo Offman for a second. Um, JoJo Offman worked the dark match before Collision. She was there on the Collision taping dark match, and JoJo was doing ring announcing for AEW, which I thought was a nice gesture by AEW to do that with JoJo. The late Bray Wyatt's wife, she came out and she did her thing with the ring announcing, so I thought that was great. They're saying here that she will do more with AEW. So Charles, Happy New Year. How's it going, my friend? Hit that like button, Charles. How's the Bahamas? I'm sure it's warm down in the Bahamas where it's very chilly here in New York City. Um, so everybody, please make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like button. Just stop by to the show. My support and smash the like button. Thank you very much, Charles. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Charles. And so JoJo Offerman, JoJo is going to work with AEW. I don't have an issue with this. I don't have an issue with this whatsoever. I do not have an issue with this whatsoever. Whatsoever. Excuse me. All right. So Jojo Hoffman, WrestleNomics. Brandon Thurston posted that SmackDown is planning to return to 2 hour format beginning in June. Okay, so Charles says Charles says it's 69 degrees Fahrenheit and expect to be 60. Well, Charles, I hope you enjoy the 69, 70-degree weather because up here in New York, it's about 12, it's about a chilly 30 degrees or 29 degrees or whatever it is. Winds from the northeast at 15 miles and partly. Well, thank you very much, Charles, for all of that weather update in the Bahamas. Yeah, it sounds good, Gregor John. Sounds good. Send that weather up here, please. Brr. um, so SmackDown is planning to go back to 2 hours beginning in June. Okay, so if you all didn't hear, no rain in the forecast. Oh, that's good, Charles. That's good. We're getting snow here in the Northeast. Um, but if you all didn't hear, SmackDown right now is a 3 hour format. It's a 3 hour format, and it is only an experiment. It's supposed to last 6 months, only 6 months. And from what I understand, they're going back to 2 hours, which I don't mind. I don't mind because if you have a 3 hours Raw and a 3 hour SmackDown, that's a lot of wrestling. That's a lot of wrestling. Gregor John, great evening. Yes, great evening to you, Charles. And that's a lot of wrestling. That is a lot of wrestling for WWE to handle it with their audience. I mean, I had said this in a conversation with Mitch Kosky, and I said to Mitch, I said, I don't know about SmackDown going to 3 hours because SmackDown really, if you want to really look at it in a crystal ball, it's really not consistent with the episodes. I mean, 1 minute SmackDown could be good, and then another minute SmackDown could be very terrible and lackluster. I mean, I have sat through some terrible SmackDowns when I used to have co-hosts to do SmackDowns with me. And then there were times where we had a good SmackDown where I ended the broadcast. Used to no, Gregor John. I can't talk about that anymore. Gregor John. No. I'm doing solo right now, Gregor. But thank you very much for your comment. Um, so when we still do when we do SmackDown, when I do SmackDown, there are times where I enjoy the show and I like the show and everything else. So, but then there are times where I'm very disappointed in the show. The show has to be consistent. There has to be some consistency with the show. And I don't know if 3 hours is going to be good. But listen, this is only for 6 months. Um, I'm watching with my team of four, including myself. That's great, Charles. And ask everybody to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, 6 hours is too much. Yes, Gregor John. Yes, Gregor John. 6 hours each week is a lot to ask the audience. Without comments, you'll never start without consistency. You will never finish. Yes, yes, Charles, that is absolutely correct. You are correct in that assessment. Without commitment, you'll never start. And without consistency, you'll never finish. That's absolutely right. I like that analogy, Charles. Yeah, if you don't have consistency in the episodes, it's the 3 hour experiment. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because you can't do a weekly episodic episode of television, and you don't have consistency in the episodes. The storylines have to make sense. What you're putting out there in the audience has to make sense, and you want people to invest in your product. So, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But apparently we're going back to 2 hours in June. I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with this at all. Like I said, it's a 6 months experiment. And we'll see. We'll see. 6 hours is overkill in my humble. Yes, it is, Charles. Yes, it is. Because, like I said, you have a 3 hour Raw on Netflix. Then you're going to go ahead on Friday nights and do a 3 hour SmackDown. That's a lot to do in one week. That's 6 hours of wrestling to watch in one week. That's a lot. Plus, if you like Dynamite, if you like AEW, and you like Ring of Honor, and you like NXT, all of those shows are 2 hours. Earl, I always like two. Earl, I always like 2 hour shows, Earl. Yeah, I do too, Gregor John. I think 2 hours is manageable. I like 2 hour shows. I like 2 hour shows. I really do. I think 2 hours of wrestling is fine by me. It's manageable, versus a pay per view or a PLE. Because pay per views, they last like Tony Khan, they last a long time. They go until 11 o'clock at night. Now, WWE's pay per views, they're different. They have a model, and I like this new model that they have. They only do like 7 or 8 matches, and then they give it to you in a time constraint where it's conducive to everyone's schedule. You can actually rest yourself after the WWE pay per view is over with because they don't keep you that long. It's not that long. It's just like WrestleMania, why they broke it up into 2 nights. Because when it was one night, that's a long night of wrestling. You're talking about 14 matches to get through. That's a lot in one night. So um, did you see NXT with The Rock? No, I didn't, Gregor John, and he was with his daughter. It was his daughter. The Rock was there. He greeted his daughter, who is the NXT general manager. I thought that was great. That was great stuff. I saw the clip of that. Rock was backstage with his daughter. He must be so proud of his daughter, um, being the NXT being in the fold in WWE, and she's running NXT. I think that's great. I think that's great. I think that's some great stuff. Um, so let's talk about Sting for a second. Sting recently filed a trademark on Old Man Sting. Okay, so Sting, Charles says, my favorite wrestler of all time is, and that's the button that causes Stone Cold Steve. Since so said so. The Stone. All right, Charles. I like Stone Cold myself. Charles is a legend. Yes, he is. Gregor John. Yes, he is. Charles is a good old soul. Um. All right. So Sting was a trademark. Sean Ross Sapp posted that announces that for 2 months. So it's been suspended for 2 months. Dave Meltzer added it was apparent suspended Charlton, not New Japan Wrestling, and not anyone else. Okay. So the guy has been suspended for 2 months. The guy who made the comment about Tony Khan and New Japan has been suspended for 2 months. All right. So let's talk about AEW for a second. AEW Dynamite was last night. My favorite is Bret Hart. Well, Gregor John, that's good. That's good. You know who my favorite wrestler is? The Undertaker. I grew up on The Undertaker. I love Randy Savage. I love me some Roddy Piper. Love me some Roddy Piper. Big John Studd, Ernie the Cat Lad. I grew up on all of these wrestlers. I grew up on all that's who I grew up with. That's what Big John Studd. Who don't remember Big John Studd? Right? Kerry Von Erich. Who doesn't remember that? Adrian Adonis. I grew up on all of these people. These were wrestlers back in the days. Fabulous Moolah and all of that, Wendy Richter, all of that stuff, all that good time fun. I grew up on that. That's why I'm a wrestling fan. That is why I'm a wrestling fan. That is why I do what I do, and I love what I do. I don't hate any part of being entwined in wrestling because when you have a squared circle and you got an aisle, you got me. Oh, yeah, Andre the Giant. Yes, I grew up on all of that, Gregor John. All of that. I grew up on all of that, and that's who I grew up on. Junkyard Dog. Yeah, Junkyard Dog. You don't remember that? You don't remember that? How about the Birdman? Bird, 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 bird. Do the bird. Bird, bird, bird. Bird, bird, bird. Yeah, who don't remember that? Who doesn't remember King Harley Race? Who don't remember that? Who don't remember that? Yeah, yeah. So I grew up on all of those things. I grew up on all of that. I remember when Cindy Lauper and she brought out the late Dick Clark and all of that and WrestleMania one. Earl, they don't have wrestlers like that. No, they don't, Gregor John. No, they don't. Dude, those are back in the days. Those are old time wrestling. I remember sitting in my living room with my legs crossed and turning on the TV after harness wrestling and watching wrestling on television and sitting here and smiling from ear to ear as I'm watching the action. And Pedro Morales and Dom Morocco and all of these folks and Eddie Guerrero and all of these things. I that's why I love wrestling. That's why I love wrestling, folks. I I am one of those old time souls when it comes to wrestling. And I love it. I love it because I grew up on these things. My mom grew me up on these things. And I'm sure there's people that have a lot of stories about how they got involved in wrestling. And you know something, every time I go through the turnstile, every time I go through the turnstile, Mr. Perfect, yeah, every time I go through the turnstile, I think of my mom. I think about my mom and when she used to hold my hand when I was a kid and we used to go through Madison Square Garden and we used to sit down and we used to watch the old entrance where the wrestlers used to come out and here they came and you know the late Howard Finkel and how he used to light up Madison Square Garden all night with his golden voice and oh man, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There really isn't. And I get so like the adrenaline just goes through me when it comes to wrestling. It just brings out the best in me. It just especially calling a match or reliving something or just I just love it. I absolutely encompass it and I love it all. And I love wrestling fans. I love seeing the smile on their face. I love when they come up with scenarios. I love when wrestling fans sit there and they think of all these bookings and how smart they are and how intelligent they are and how forthright they are and how passionate they are. And it reminds me of myself. It reminds me about myself and how passionate I am too about wrestling. And when I talk about a storyline or I don't like this kind of booking or what were they thinking in this booking or the laziness in the booking and everything good, bad, and indifferent. I always talk about wrestling. And that's my platform because it's an escape from the world that we live in. This personality was better back in the day. Yeah, well, not right now, Gregor John. I like the Triple H era. I like what Triple H is doing here. I really am embracing this Triple H era. He has turned WWE around from what Vince McMahon did to it leading up to his resignation and his walking out on the company and they pushing him out of the company. Um, the product has gotten a lot better. Dusty Rhodes, Blackjack Mulligan, Kevin Sullivan, and Lex Luger. Yeah, all of those, Charles, all of those. The Four Horsemen. How about the Four Horsemen? Yeah, man, Ric Flair. Who's not a fan of Ric Flair? Him and his daddy juice. Who's not a fan of Ric Flair? The Iron Sheik. Yeah, Bob Backlund. There you go. There's another one. So, so yeah, that's wrestling. That's wrestling. That's wrestling. That's old time stuff. Um. So. Um. Oh man, there's so many memories that I have in my head. There's so many memories. So many memories. Sting, Sting, yeah. Who doesn't, listen, Jesse Ventura, oh, of course, Saturday night's main event, Jesse the Body Ventura. Who doesn't remember that? Jesse Ventura, him and Monsoon, Gorilla Monsoon. Oh, man. Let me tell you something. When you saw either Bobby Heenan or Jesse the Body Ventura do WrestleMania, you knew you were in for a special night. You knew you were in for a special night because either one of those men worked well with Monsoon doing WrestleMania. They brought it. They were heels to personify. And you could tell through the broadcast who was the villain and who was the baby face. And Harley Race, yes, yes, King Harley Race. And you knew, getting back to Monsoon for a second, you knew the late Gorilla Monsoon. He would always put Heenan in his place, or he would put Ventura in his. I mean, it was great. But their chemistry and their rapport with each other was so profound and so like what's the word I'm looking for besides profound? It was so great together. It was just their chemistry was just absolutely off the charts. And the crescendo when these two men broadcast a WrestleMania was off the charts. And you knew you were getting something special when you turn on that closed circuit television. Who doesn't remember that? And you just knew you were in for a treat. And I loved it. Good old Jim Ross. Yeah. I mean, even when he did WrestleMania 2, I remember Jim Ross when he debuted at WrestleMania 9 in Vegas. This was many, 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 many years ago. Monsoon was under the weather and he couldn't do WrestleMania, but Jim Ross came out in a toga and he came out in the toga and he did his debut and he did a great job that night for WrestleMania 9. I mean, it was great. It was great. Caesar's Palace. Who doesn't remember that? The Giant Gonzalez and everything. Good stuff. Good memories. Good memories back in Bobby Heenan riding backwards on a camel. Yeah, Barry Windham, Gregor John. Terry Funk. Yo, who doesn't remember Terry Funk? The Wild Samoans. I don't remember none of that. Yeah, you know, man, man. Those were the days. Those were the days. Those were the days. And I wish I had a time machine that can turn the hands of time back and go back into those days, man, because those were some good old days. Those are some good old days. But like I said, getting back to the present. I'm embracing this Triple H era. As I said before, I'm embracing it, and I'm embracing it with love every day because Triple H has made wrestling fun again. He's made wrestling fun again, and for me, that speaks volumes. Okay, now on to AEW. Yes, Gregor John, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Um, Triple H has made wrestling fun again. He's made WWE fun again. And the audience has responded in kind with record number gates of sellouts and TV sellouts and pay per view sellouts and everything else. And the WWE's house show numbers are through the roof. Everybody comes out now to a WWE house show because they don't know what they're going to get from Triple H. And they're very intrigued. And I enjoy AEW. I enjoy WWE, and I'm enjoying what I'm loving and I'm seeing. There are a few hits or misses here and there with the storylines, but that's few and far between for what they're doing right now. And they are impressing people all over the world. And their PLEs, excuse me, their PLEs are being taken out of this country. And it look Saudi Arabia is getting Royal Rumble next year. Very outstanding storyline in my humble opinion. Yes, Charles. Their storylines are cut and dry. And what I mean by cut and dry is you know exactly what you're gonna get. You're gonna get storylines. Who is your favorite AEW wrestler? Gregor John, I'm gonna answer that in a minute. Um and I like WWE and I like what they're doing and I like the way that their direction is going. I just hope that they do this Royal Rumble in February. I hope that they do it well. I hope they book it well, and I hope it's very successful for them. I really do. I want to see them do it. I want to see that audience pop when they see Cena come out for the last Royal Rumble ever, his final Royal Rumble in Indianapolis. I'm sure the place is going to explode. I'm sure the place is going to just go bananas. Great sports entertainment. Yes, absolutely, Gregor John. Absolutely, Charles. Excuse me. Absolutely, Charles. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about AEW for a second. AEW Dynamite last night was in Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, they were in Tennessee. I believe it was called Clarksville, Tennessee. I believe. Forgot the name of the city. But they were in Tennessee last night for Dynamite. The show was meh. The show was hit or miss for me. Something was missing last night from Dynamite, and I'm not sure what it was. But the opening contest was great. It did drag on as the night went on. The show was I don't know. It just something I was very bored with last night. this was the first time I think I ever almost fell asleep during a live stream. I mean, I was just not, I was just not thrilled with what I was watching last night. And I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what's missing from Dynamite, but this episode was just, it just didn't do it for me. It wasn't for me. Um, I just was not a fan of it. Now I don't know about you all. I don't know how you feel about Dynamite, but for me, it was just was no bueno. It was really no bueno for me, and I I just I want to see the company succeed, but here's the thing: you gotta have consistent storylines, and it has to make sense. It really does. Um, Osprey and Buddy Matthews kicked off the show, and like I said, the match was fine. The match was all right. Great chemistry, great nuance in the match, and everything is fine. On an entertainment level, I gave the match a 7 on an entertainment level. Um, I mean, it was fine for what it was, and it just hummed along. You know, Powerhouse Hobbs had he showed his prowess last night on Dynamite. Like I said, the show was it was just going through the motions. Let me just put it that way. And I gave the show a C. The show got a C for me. I just it just wasn't my cup of tea last night. Maybe next week it'll improve. Maybe it'll improve next week. All right. And getting back to Gregor John's question, my favorite AEW wrestler, Gregor John, is I like Orange Cassidy. I love me some Willow Nightingale. I love me some Willow Nightingale. Love her. I love Serena Deeb. Who doesn't like Serena Deeb? And I like Darby Allen. Darby Allen is good. Cope is not bad. Adam Copeland. I like him. Um, yeah, those are my favorite AEW wrestlers. Those are my favorites. I like them. I like them, especially Orange Cassidy. Love me some Orange Cassidy. So, um, all right. On a programming note, everyone, I'm going to be back tomorrow night for SmackDown, and the Tiffany Stratton era will continue, and continue it will. So we're gonna do that tomorrow night. Um, as you all know, if you all didn't see SmackDown last week, Tiffany Stratton wins the WWE Women's Championship over Nia Jax, and she did the Money in the Bank. I'm going to tell you this much: the WWE booked this brilliantly. This was done brilliantly because here's the thing: she had the briefcase for 153 days. Okay, she had the briefcase for 153 days. Tiffany Stratton kept teasing the audience every house show, every week on SmackDown, back and forth. Was she going to cash it in? Would she cash it in? Or would she not? And every time they did it, they kept teasing it. They kept teasing you with it. Because you never knew when she was going to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase. You never knew. All right. So what they did was is they kept teasing it until last Friday night on SmackDown. Last Friday night on SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton cashed in her Money in the Bank, and it was the night that WWE presented a 3-hour SmackDown from Phoenix, Arizona. It launched the 3-hour era of SmackDown. It also made the return to Lillian Garcia So it was a big, big SmackDown package last week on SmackDown that we got delivered. And I loved the entire gift. I loved it. I thought it was great. Great stuff by WWE and that booking with Tiffany Stratton. And because, as I said before in my last commentary, they had to do it this way. They had to do it this way because they wasted the cash in on the storyline on the men's side. So they had to do something special with this briefcase with the women. And I love what Triple H did with the booking. I love what WWE did with the booking. I really did. I had no issues with it whatsoever. She cashed in the money in the bank. She became champion. And at first she suckered people in they thought everybody she was going to be a heel. And she became a heel by helping Jax retain the title, which was a smart thing by WWE. Because here's the thing. You didn't want Naomi to win the women. Now I know that some people I heard some rumblings that people were like, "Oh, Naomi should no." Naomi should have never won I'm glad Naomi didn't win the match because that would have been terrible. That would have been a horrible booking decision. This was the right booking decision. She helped Nia retain the title, and Nia kept thinking that Tiffany was on her side. Oh, I got Tiffany in my back pocket. Perfect. She's gonna help me with the money in the bank. She's gonna help me with the retainment. So all of that was going on. All of that was going on. All of a sudden, chaos erupted when Tiffany went there and told Nia, go after Bianca. So she attacks Bianca, but then all of a sudden, Tiffany turned face and she smacked Nia in the back with the money in the bank briefcase. And then she gave it a KOD to kiss her death. And then she suckered in. She turned heel for a second, and she tosses Bianca over the SmackDown table. And then she does the beautiful moonsault athleticism right on top of Nia for the 3 count, and she became champion. Again, like I said before, I'll say it again. I don't have an issue with this. I don't have an issue with this whatsoever. I don't. I thought this was brilliant. This was brilliant booking. This is how you book a cash in. This is how you book the cash in. You don't waste the cash in. You wait to the opportune moment and then you pull the trigger on the cash in. So, good stuff by WWE. I loved it. I gave it a thumbs up to cash in. I had no problem with it last week on SmackDown. And I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night with SmackDown and what they're going to cook up. Don't forget this Monday night we have Raw. Monday Night Raw will happen this Monday night and it will be Netflix and chill. We're going to chill. Yes, I'm going to be chilling with Netflix and Monday Night Raw. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be great. We hope that you'll tune in for that telehash and everything else. But that is going to do it for the wrestling experience. That's going to do it for the wrestling experience. I want to thank you all so much for watching tonight. Make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you share the stream, and you love what you're watching. If you love wrestling, if you love analytics, if you love me talking about wrestling, well, you can go no further than this island of well, I'm trying to be the island of relevancy. But you know what I mean. You could come here and you can listen to me talk about stories about wrestling, all kinds of news, rumors, and report, calling matches, doing the things that I love to do as a wrestling fan. And I am an informist. I not only love doing call by call, play by play as they call it, but I also love to inform. I also like to have an opinion and everything else, and I love having fun because that is what I'm all about. I love having fun with other wrestling fans, and of course hearing their opinions. So yeah, so that is me in a nutshell. So that is going to do it for me here on the Wrestling Experience. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. Please stay warm. Please stay warm. It's freezing outside. It's very frigid here in New York City and New Jersey area. It's very frigid. If you're going outside, layer up. Coat, scarf, hat, whatever you got to do, dress warm. Dress warm and be safe out there. And I'll see you tomorrow night for Friday night SmackDown. Until then, everyone, thank you for watching the Wrestling Experience. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay warm. And I'll talk to you tomorrow night for Friday night SmackDown. So long, everyone.